My name is Alicia, and today is Thursday, August 22nd, and I'm starting a podcast. Yay! It's called Knits and Stuff. It's going to be bi-weekly, and it's going to be about knitting and stuff. Mainly it's going to be about crafting, a little bit of Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is amazing and I may be slightly obsessed with it, and all other things awesome. A little bit about me. I'm an engineer. I work full-time, but my work schedule allows me to have every other Friday off, which is why the podcast gets to be bi-weekly, and it just works out where I can do it every other Friday and record and put it out. Hopefully things work out like that. See, I've been knitting and crocheting since about high school, kind of early 2000s, and I've been spinning for about a year now, a little over a year I think, on my Shacked Ladybug, and I also have a couple drop spindles, which I started with and then got a spinning wheel, and then lately I've been coming back to drop spindling a little bit more. And oh, I also have a sewing machine. I just bought a new one. I used to have an old refurbished one and it wasn't very nice to me. So I got a new one and I do a little bit of sewing here and there. I'm hoping to do some more projects now that I have a better machine. And I have a little bit of a fabric stash, but not nearly as much as my yarn stash, which is not terrible. Yeah, and I think that's about all the crafting. I do some other smaller crafts, but not as often as I spin and knit. Yeah. Let's see. So I wanted to start a video podcast because I was kind of inspired by all the other, I hope that wasn't too much background noise. I was kind of inspired by all the other video podcasts that I've been watching, and I'm a very visual person, so I like to be able to see what people are working on, and I would like to be able to show people what I'm working on. Although I do like to listen to audio podcasts too, but I figured since I'm more visual, I'm gonna make something that's visual. Some of the video podcasts that I like to watch, that I've been watching for a while, like the Knit Girls, and then I really like the Mustache podcast as well, and Yarn Raising, which kind of got me into drop spindling more. And Knit Spin Farm is another one that I've really enjoyed. And so yeah, that kind of watching all those made me want to start my own. So I'm just adding to all the video podcasts out there, and we can all have virtual podcast parties. Yeah, so, oh, and it's called Knits and Stuff because I once told my boyfriend that I wanted to own a yarn store, because that would be the best thing ever, even though probably it won't be the best thing ever. But and it would have a coffee shop, it would have a bookstore area, it would have like a video game section, and it would have like a petting zoo in the back, or a pet daycare in the back, something like that. Yeah. So he was like, oh, you should call it Knits and Stuff, because he really likes to say and stuff after things. At least at the time he did. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then when I was taking some graphic design classes, one of the projects was to create our own business and design a logo for it and do all the branding. And so I was like, I'm gonna call it Knits and Stuff, and it'll be a yarn shop and a craft store. And so when I was like, I want to start a podcast, what am I going to name it? And I was like, well, it makes sense to name it Knits and Stuff, because I'm probably going to be talking about knits and stuff. So, yeah. Speaking of what I'm going to be talking about, each podcast every 2 weeks. I will probably be talking about finished objects if I have any, and then works in progress, whatever I'm been working on for the past, whatever I'm working on currently. And then after that, I'll probably talk about pretty things, which would be any stash acquisition, things that I buy, which I shouldn't be buying. And then there'll be a whole stuff section, which would cover everything else I would talk about, which includes, I'd like to do a local delights segment because I live in an area where I think there's a lot of cool things around, mainly food, but hopefully I'll be able to talk about more than just food. So there'll be local delights, and then there'll be a segment called Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey, and that'll be where I talk about Doctor Who, and that'll probably be towards the end, so you could probably just turn me off before that if you don't want to hear me talk about Doctor Who. But why would you not? Because Doctor Who is awesome. And then possibly other things too, because so I guess besides crafting in my spare time, I also like to play video games, board games, read a little bit, not as much as I'd like to, but and that's mostly it. There might be some other hobbies, so basically that'll be an area where I could talk about something else. I'm hoping to talk about some board games too, because I think some of my friends have introduced me to some good ones, so I'd like to share that. So yeah, I think that's about the gist of it, so why don't we get started? Finished objects. The first thing that I finished is, well, it's kind of finished. It's tattered, and it's a shawl by Sachiko Bergen, and I knit this out of Socks That Rock. I'm having a really hard time showing this. So, yeah, I knit this out of Socks That Rock, in medium weight, in spores. I like the pattern, but I think I want it to be bigger. And then, because it's kind of small right now, although I haven't blocked it yet, so I don't know if it's gonna block any larger than this though, or at least significantly larger. And I have a bunch of yarn left, so I might actually make this bigger. And then I made a mistake too. I dropped a stitch that didn't have a yarn over below it, and now it's just sitting there, and I don't know if I should rip it down all the way to the center yarn overs or if I should just leave it. Yeah, and if I make this bigger, I have to deal with the drop stitches on each section. I don't know if how my camera focuses, if it does focus or refocus on things. Ooh, I don't know, that looks okay, I guess. Yeah, and I was also thinking about frogging this too, because I don't know, I'm not sure. I want it to be bigger, I know that. Oh, and I knit these on size 7, which is 4.5 millimeters. US 7, 4.5 millimeters. Yeah, so that's that. So I finished some spinning. The first thing that I'm going to show you is some roll eggs, well, spun up roll eggs that I got from Spin Monkeys, and they're in the colorway Just Keep Swimming. So I spun it into like I guess you would call it a bulky weight, because it's an art yarn in a way. It has these little wool nips I don't know if you can see those. The camera doesn't really focus because it's my SLR, so it doesn't have an autofocus on it. This was my first time spinning the wool neps, and I wasn't exactly sure how to spin them up. Some of them are spun in pretty well and like surrounded by the yarn, kind of like this one. Doesn't focus. And then some of the other ones are just hanging out on the side, and so they fall out and then fall onto the floor, and that's, you can kind of see, that's one of the bigger ones. And then they make a mess. This is about 2 ounces, and besides the wool neps, it has Angelina, Tencel, Border Leicester locks, merino, and bamboo. And it was interesting to spin from the roll eggs. That was also my first time spinning from roll eggs. I probably should have started with something that was not such a large mix of fiber. But that's okay. It was interesting to spin for them. It wasn't as easy as like merino on in a comb top, but yeah, it was interesting. I got some more roll eggs too, but that'll be later in my works in progress. The next thing I finished spinning is some roving that I got from Knitted Wit. Let's see, it's Polworth, and it was about 4 ounces, and I fractal spun this, and this was my first time fractal spinning. Lots of first times. And at first I didn't like it. I liked it when it was spun up in the singles, and then when I applied it on my wheel I didn't really like it, but now that I've wound it off the wheel I kind of like it. So it'll be, this also hasn't, neither one of these have been soaked and thwacked. But so it'll be interesting to see how much this fluffs up, because I've heard Polworth kind of fluffs up a lot. I think right now it looks like a fingering weight, maybe like a heavy fingering or sport, something like that. So we'll see how much bigger it gets, and then hopefully next time I can show you, and then it'll be exciting. So those are my only finished objects. Not too many, but I've got tons of works in progress. So first thing I'm working on is the Soroyan shawl by Liz Abinante. This is what it looks like. I'm about halfway done with it, and I am knitting it on US 7s. No, that's a lie. US 10s, 6mm. They're Addy clicks. No, they're not. They're just Addy bamboo ones. Is that what they're called? I think that's what they're called. They're the Addy needles that are just bamboo circular. This is the one that's the one side that has a leaf pattern on it. There's another one where both sides have a pattern on it, but this one I wanted to do just the garter stitch on the other side. Oh, and the yarn is Bumble Birch. This doesn't focus, I'm sorry. You can see the price, I don't know if that matters. Bumble Birch Forage in Glacier, and I bought this yarn in Portland when I was visiting. It's really pretty. I like it, and it's soft and squishy. So I bought 2 skeins, and I wanted to get through about one of them. So I did, I wanted to use 2 skeins for the shawl. So I did 7 increase repeats of the lace pattern, and instead of 6, which is what the pattern called for. And then I did 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 of the middle straight section repeats with when I ran low on, oh gosh, this is gonna get tangled, when I ran low on the yarn, and then so it'll have 12 repeats in the middle, and then 7 increase and decrease repeats on each side, and hopefully that will get me to close to 2 skeins of yarn. The next thing that I'm working on is some handspun, a handspun shawl, and last year, I think, I spun up, or was it this year? It was this year or last year. I spun up a loop bump in the Girl Scout colorway, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it for the longest time. And then eventually I found the Ginkgo crescent shawl, which is based off of the Ginkgo shawl, which is a triangle, and then someone adapted it to a crescent shape, and so I thought that might work for this. I'm still on the fence about whether or not it will work for this, but I don't know. We'll see when the lace pattern starts. So this is with US 6s. That's a really bright pink. US 6 4mm. These are my bamboo clicks, the interchangeable needles, and I'm just, I think I'm going to make the largest size, because I was going to make the medium size, the second largest size, and I have a lot of yarn left, so I kind of want to use a little bit more, and I really want to get to that purple part. But I actually started with the second to largest size, and I did started to do the lace pattern, and I messed up. I have no idea how I messed up, but it looked really off. So I ripped that back out, and I did not put a lifeline in, so that was interesting. And then, so I'm back to the number of stitches, or to the row where I would have done the medium size, or the second largest size. And so I'm going to make it the largest size now, and then start the lace, and hopefully I won't mess up this time. But yeah, so that's my Ginkgo crescent. Oh, and the handspun is a fingering weight. It's Angelina, Corriedale, nylon, and merino. I think most of her bumps are like that, or her standard ones. It has the sparkle, which you can kind of see. And oh, it's Navajo or chain plied, so it's a 3-ply yarn. So lots of shawls. I've been into shawls lately. The next thing I'm working on is some socks, and this is the second pair, or the second sock I've knit. I haven't really made a regular sock yet. I tried a different one, a different pattern, which was not like a simple pattern. It had a lace pattern to it, and it's a little too tight for me, and I feel like I still don't know exactly how socks work. And for some reason I'm not choosing a plain pattern for a sock to start off with. I like to choose the difficult ones. So, but this one that well, it's not difficult, it's just not the basic sock pattern, so I feel like it would have been useful to start like that, but I didn't want to because I'm weird. So this one is the Aquaphobia socks by Crystal Flanage, and it's the one with the slip stitch patterns that works pretty well with the variegated yarn, so it kind of prevents pooling, and then it has a cable on the sides to make up for that stretch. And my gauge was really big because I'm knitting this with creatively dyed yarn in the Beaches base, in the color Neuro, which I bought from their booth at Vogue Knitting Live a couple years ago, and in US 1s, 2.25 millimeters. These are Hii's, the just regular metal ones. And so my gauge was off. And so instead of casting on, or instead of using the 70, 78, 76 stitches that the pattern calls for, I'm using 64 around. And so it's slightly smaller, and I tried it on already and it's a little tight. So but I think it'll be okay when it blocks, hopefully. I didn't block my gauge swatch because I'm a bad knitter. I just did it and then measured it from there without blocking. So, but that's okay. I think I'm more of a process knitter than a product knitter sometimes. So if it doesn't fit, that's okay. That's not, I can always give it to someone else too. So that's my sock. And oh, and here, this is what the yarn looks like in this skein. There's actually some really, it's mostly like purple, pink, and white, but there's some spots where it has like blue in the white, and I don't think you can see that you can see that, but it's there and it's kind of nice. So yeah, and the next thing that I'm knitting on, that I'm working on, are some monkey fingerless mitts by Michelle Johnson, and I am knitting this out of Koigu Painter's Palette Premium Merino, KPPM. And oh my gosh, this is so tiny. So this is also a little tight, but I think I'm on gauge for this one, and it should stretch. Or maybe my wrists are just big. But I'm knitting these on size 2s. They're the Lantern Moon needles, 2.75 millimeters, US 2s. Oh, Lantern Moon sock sticks is what they're called. And yeah, I don't know, it's so tiny, you can't really see. I feel like it's very small. Sorry, I'm looking over here because the screen is over here, so I'm trying to see if I'm showing the right thing, but yeah, I'll try not to look over there too much. So I'm not too far along with that. I just started that recently, and it's actually kind of slow going. I don't know, these needles aren't the easiest to knit with, or the fastest to knit with, I guess, because they bend a lot. So they're not, and the stitches are kind of small. I don't know, small needles. It's just takes a little bit longer, but I kind of just pick it up when I'm sitting at my desk and work on it every now and then. So, oh, and it's in, I haven't been showing these, my project bags, which some of them are just bedsheet covers, which Target, when they sell their bed sheets, they come in these little bags. So I've been using those for a lot of projects, like this one. But the crescent shawl was in a bag that my friend made for me, which is really nice. It's a drawstring bag, and it has pockets on the inside too, which is really cool. There's pockets. So yeah, it's really nice. She has been sewing a lot recently, so she gave that to me as a gift. And then the socks that I was knitting on is in a bag that I made, which is not as nice, a couple years ago, which is also a drawstring bag, and yeah, just out of some fat quarters. So I think my camera only records in certain length segments, so I just got cut off. Sorry. But project bags, the monkey fingerless mitts are in a bag that I recently sewed which I did from a tutorial online, and I can link to that. I'll have show notes up. And I think at the end of the show I'll say where everything is and all the social media, etc. So you'll know where to go. And I think I got this fabric from Joann's, and the zipper and all that. And it's lined on the inside, which is exciting. It has like a vinyl lining on it, so if I put messy stuff in there I could just wipe it down. Or if my yarn was messy for whatever reason. So those are the project bags that I have. And that's not true, because there's one more thing I'm working on. And it's in a project bag that I got it was at a craft fair. I think it was either Renegade Craft Fair or the Bazaar, I think it was Renegade. And one of the knitting stores or knitting booths was selling project bags also. So it's a box bag, and it has this nice handle. This one's really nice. It's a lot better than the box bag I made, because it has a little loop on the side and a little handle over here, and then this little ribbon one, and it's all sewn really nice, and it's lined, and it has really cute owls. Oh, and good, it has a label. So I didn't know who made this, because it was since I bought it at a booth, I think she was just selling the bags, but she was a yarn dyer, so she wasn't the one that made the bags. So this is A Needle Runs Through It. I'm really gonna have to figure out how to focus this camera, because I think I can press a button on it, it'll focus, but I don't know. Maybe get a remote or something. Or a real camera. So A Needle Runs Through It, and her store is on Etsy, A Needle Runs Through It.etsy.com. And in this project bag I am working on the Evangeline mix, which oh my gosh, if I can get it out. That's what he said. So these are Evangelines. I can show you a picture because it's on my iPad right now. That's what they're supposed to look like. This is by Michelle Zagalmi. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it's SZEGHALMI of the Sweet Sheep. And I made these before, and I really liked them. I made them for my friend out of Mono, still Uruguay, and that one I actually made a little bit smaller than what the pattern called for, because it was bulkier yarn, and those turned out okay. And I started to do that with the Malabrigo, and they were too small. So I ripped it back out, and I cast on the regular number of stitches for it, and so I've done this far. It's not as tight as, what am I doing? I'm getting everything tangled up. This one's not as tight as it first started out to be, which is good. And I'm gonna make the elbow length ones. So I'm knitting this out of Malabrigo in the Pearl 10 colorway, I think. Oh, there's a needle in there. And on, these are on 8s. The pattern, I think, calls for 7s. US 7s, but these are, I like the Malabrigo on the 8s, 5mm, but a little bit better. Yeah, so I've been working on these while I'm at jury duty. I got selected to be a juror on a trial that is going to last until at least September 16th. Today is August 22nd. That's a really long time. I don't think I can knit while I am while I'm in the court, or like actively listening to the witnesses, which I don't know, I haven't actually asked because I'm probably going to be taking notes because this trial seems kind of complicated. But during the breaks I've been working on this, and I think I already have the pattern memorized. So because I knit it, and I knit like 7 or 8 repeats until I was like, nope, this is too small, so I'm gonna rip it out and start over. So I've got the pattern memorized now. I've just been working on it on my breaks, and it's nice. I'm excited. I should have these done pretty quickly because it's going really fast. And it's so soft. I love Malabrigo. So yeah, that's all my works in progress. Oh, that's not all my works in progress. That's all my knitting in progress, but I do have some spinning. I have some more Rolags from Daybreak Dye Works. This is her tag. The colorway is Ochak. That's what it says. I know you can't really read that, and it's not focused up here, but yeah. And it's Merino, Corridel, Yak, and Sparkle. And I think the total weight of them is about 1 ounce. I think I've spun like, there were 19 Rolags, so I've only spun like 3 or 4. This is what they look like. And it's really pretty. I really like this section. The gray. I really like gray. So I've been spinning them on my drop spindle. It's a shacked drop spindle. This is one of the lighter ones. I think it's like 1.5 ounces, maybe, or yeah, grams. Well, yeah, I think it's grams. Ounces, that'd be, wait, I don't know. It's one of their lighter, the lighter spindles that I have. And although this feels pretty heavy right now, but this is how far I've gotten. And I've got the green section, so I just spun up that gray on here. Yeah, and this is a lot easier to spin than the other Rolags that I had, because there's not as much stuff in it. But it's been fun. I think I want to spin up half the Rolags and then spin up the other half and then apply those two together. So now that's all my works in progress. I have something on the wheel, but I just started it, and I actually don't want to take it off the wheel, or the bobbin off the wheel, because the fiber is really slippery and I have a hard time picking it back up if it's disconnected. But I can talk about that next week, because maybe it'll be done by then. So that's it for works in progress. So my camera ran out of memory, or my SD card ran out of memory, and then I needed to make dinner. So now it's Saturday, the 24th, and I'm finishing up with pretty things and then some other quick stuff, and that will wrap it up, and hopefully my camera will run out of memory. I'll try not to make this too long, because I think I want my shows to be like half an hour or so. I think that's a good amount of time. Who knows? So first thing, in stash acquisition, I bought leaf mats during Tour de Fleece, and all of these are in plastic, so I hope it doesn't make too much noise. So the first one, I bought 2 loop bats in one of her shop updates, and this one is Rosebud, and oh, it's so pretty. It's got some reds, pinks, and blues, and it's 4.5 ounces of merino, bamboo, and tussa silk. So I'm excited for these. The second bat that I got from her is one of her saris silk bats called This one's called Seriously Sorry, and this has sari silk, tussa silk, Angelina, nylon, bamboo, and merino. so pretty. And if you don't know, her bats, or they're not bats, they're bumps, and they look like bats, but they're center pole, and it makes it really easy to spin. So the next thing I got is from Spin City UK. This is also on Etsy. And I'll have a link to the shops in the show notes. And I bought some bats from her. And the first one I got is Sushi, which is a really fun, just all merino bat. And there's a lot of colors in there. Oh my goodness. And it smells like wool. And then I got two of what she called dried lavender. It has bits of silk noils in there that kind of make it look like dried lavender, and then I think the rest is merino and linen. I think that's that brown, the brown fiber, isn't it? Yeah. So I think I got two of those, and that should be, I think each one is 2.4 ounces. Yeah, this looks like the linen or hemp or something. And then the last one that I got from her is Starry Night, and I actually spun this one before, and it has a lot of stuff in it. It's alpaca, angelina, faux cashmere, and felted wool baubles, which are the little white things. So that's really pretty. It has this really pretty gold, the angelina, in it. So that's what I got from Spin City UK. And then the last thing that I got, this is from Unwind Yarn Company, and it's one of her kaleidoscope microbats, which could contain a lot of different fiber everywhere. And so I got two different sets. This one's set number 3, and it's these reds and orange and purple. They're so pretty. And they come in a little plastic bag. And then I got set number 5, and that came with two different colors. There's this one that's kind of a purple peach blend, and then a green and a little bit of blue, like a dark navy blue, like a bright neon green. So it's exciting. It's not usually something that I would choose, but yeah. And when you order 2 or more things from her, she gives you a little lavender sachet, which is nice because it smells yummy. And it keeps the moss away. So it's good. And that's all for pretty things. So for local delights, I want to talk about Phil's Coffee. They are based in San Francisco, and they have a couple locations in the South Bay and one in the East Bay. The one in the East Bay is in Berkeley, and that's the one that I frequent the most. And they do really good pour over coffee, and they brew each cup for every order, so it's fresh. It's not sitting in a pot anywhere. And they have a bunch of different flavors for each roast, and some of my favorites are the So Good, Silken Splendor, and Canopy of Heaven. And for each flavor they put kind of what, or for each one they put kind of like what flavors. So I think the So Good has like a grapefruit and something else. So yeah, and they're really nice. They also have some local pastries too, and yeah, Phil's is my favorite coffee shop besides Starbucks, because I like Starbucks too, which is like the complete opposite. So yeah, that's local delights. Now it's time for wibbly wobbly timey wimey. This is where we talk about Doctor Who, and if you don't know, Doctor Who is a show that's been going on since 1963, and it's sci-fi from BBC, and it's basically a time traveler who's going through space and time, usually with a companion. It's usually a young attractive female, and sometimes he has male companions too, and they go around and he saves people from, or saves species from whatever danger that they're in. So one of the reasons that it's been around so long is that they reincarnate basically the Doctor. So if he's in danger or he's been hurt and he's about to die, he's a Time Lord, and Time Lords can regenerate. So he, in the show, when he regenerates into a new actor. So they just announced that, spoilers, Peter Capaldi is going to be the new Doctor after Matt Smith, who's the current Doctor, and Peter Capaldi will be starting at the Christmas special. So because the show's been around for 50 years, there's going to be an anniversary special coming up in November 23rd, I think, and I'm really excited. David Tennant is going to be there, be in the special, and he is my Doctor. I think I associate him the most with being Doctor, because he's my favorite. And then Matt Smith is the current Doctor right now, the 11th Doctor, and so he'll be around for another half season or so, and then Peter Capaldi will replace him, and I'm really excited to see what he's gonna do. I liked Matt Smith, but I don't know, everyone has to move on eventually, so I don't know, it should be good. I don't know too much about Peter Capaldi. I know he's been in a couple episodes of Doctor Who as other characters, but that shouldn't affect his new role, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, I think that's it for today. Hopefully it wasn't too long, and I realized that there was some background noise when I recorded earlier. I live close to Amtrak, and you could hear the horns, I guess, honking when the trains went by, so hopefully that wasn't too loud. I will put show notes in knitsandstuff.wordpress.com. It's knitsandstuff.wordpress.com. Hopefully I can figure out how to put this on iTunes. I need to figure out that whole RSS feed stuff. But I'm Eliana Knits on Ravelry. That's ELIANNAKNITS. And yeah, I'll put some stuff at the end too, so you don't have to try and remember that spelling. And it was nice talking to you. I hope to see you in 2 weeks.